Okay, this is Mrs. Baney giving you an example of how to complete Reader's Response 2. The directions say choose 2 questions from this set to answer about your independent novel. Notice there are 6 possible questions, but you do not need to answer all of them. This student has already given some responses for 3 of the questions. That's sometimes a good idea to start on a little bit more than is required, so that way if one of your answers doesn't turn out very well, you can delete it or decide not to use it for your final submission. I'm going to give you an example of question 4, which was, are you like any character in this work? Give at least 3 fully elaborated reasons. Now, I've already done this assignment, and it took me 17 minutes to write my rough draft. I thought I would go ahead and read it to you and explain it using Microsoft Word instead of Skyward, just so that you might be able to see the typing a little bit better than on the other program. So the first thing I had to do is decide which character I'm most like in the novel. Well, I thought I'm not really like any of the characters in the novel, so I had to decide, which character would fit best for me. I decided on Skeeter, so I have to then form a topic sentence. I am most like Skeeter in the novel The Help. Now the directions say give 3 fully elaborated reasons, and sometimes when you're writing it's good to have an idea of what those reasons are going to be, so you have a little map or a plan. Now for me, I didn't know what I was going to say when I started typing, which is why it took 17 minutes for me to write my rough draft. So I went ahead and decided the first and the easiest thing to describe was how Skeeter looks. Do I look like Skeeter? Am I physically in any way like her? From a physical point of view, Skeeter is tall and awkward looking compared to her friends, who are considered traditionally beautiful. I don't think I am awkward looking, nor do I look like a mosquito, but when I was in junior high, my 2 best friends were models. I was not a model. They both were very thin and pretty, and I was just normal, with braces, frizzy hair, and extra pounds. So when Skeeter describes the difficulties of being tall and having frizzy hair, I can relate to her. Notice in this sentence I have clarified why the similarities were important. I just don't want to say, she's tall, I'm tall. Well, who cares about that? She had frizzy hair, I have frizzy hair. Who cares about that? So I kind of clarified why these similarities were important, because I can relate. From an academic point of view, now I decided to use academics as my second reason why I'm like Skeeter. Notice here I said from a physical point of view, and I mimicked my own transition here from an academic point of view. I am like Skeeter because she went to college, so did I, and she is a writer. I am not a writer, but I am an English teacher, and I find myself doing a lot of writing. Now that's kind of enough, I thought, for my second reason why I'm like her, because it says I needed 3 reasons, so I decided to mimic my own transition again. So I had said from a physical point of view, from an academic point of view, and now I say from a personality point of view. Skeeter is different from her friends in that she does not just accept the attitudes of the society around her. By the way, this was the hardest point to write. It took me forever to get the rest of this paragraph written. The physical and the academic, that was very easy for me, but when I got to the personality, now I really had a hard time. So I spared you the pain of having to watch my thinking process as I rewrote this paragraph like 3 times. This is what it came out to be by the time I got all my thoughts put down on paper or on typing screen. Okay, so I decide from a personality point of view, Skeeter is different from her friends in that she does not just accept the attitudes of the society around her. She begins to question the way her white friends think and treat their help. This is set during the birth of the civil rights movement in Jackson, Mississippi. So Skeeter's challenging the norms of the society. shows that she is brave and she has a deep conscience and awareness for other people. In this way, I am not quite like Skeeter. I've never been faced with a situation like Skeeter, so I don't know how to compare myself with her in this way. I do, however, like to be different from other people and push the limits of what I can do. I think I am most like Skeeter in that I challenge myself, my beliefs, and my methods here at school. Sometimes I am different from other educators because I do not accept the status quo, just like Skeeter did not accept the status quo in her society. Being like Skeeter helped me connect. Oh, okay. So this whole section, the personality, look how long it is compared to the other sections. But I thought it was probably the most important point that I had to make. The personality of Skeeter, how am I like her? So, or not like her. That was quite a lot of writing there. Notice comparatively, it's kind of the bulk of the entire paragraph. It took a lot of explaining and a lot of thinking on my part. Now, after I had gotten all that work done and it took me so long, I was like, whew, all right, now I need a conclusion. I've exhausted my third point. I have my first point about physical. I have my second point about academics. And I have my third point about personality. So now I had to bring this all to some kind of a close. And I was like, well, I don't want to just say these are the reasons why I'm like Skeeter, because that's really kind of a boring conclusion. Although sometimes that's what people do when they can't think of anything else to say. So I decided to try to pull in why it's significant that I find myself the most like Skeeter. Why would that matter? Why would that help me understand the story? So I came up with this conclusion. Being like Skeeter helped me connect to what she was going through and helped me enjoy the novel. Now, if you're doing your assignment and you pick this question, are you like any character in this work? One thing that you could think about is using a frame, or basically copying the format that I have given you and supplying your own details. So your topic sentence could say, I am most like, insert your own person, in the novel, insert your own novel. You could mimic my ideas from pick one kind of attribute or trait you're like that person in, from a what point of view, or in what way. You don't have to talk about physical and academic things because that might not apply to your story. I use 3 transitions that help link all my reasons together. Notice how many times I use the word like. If you're trying to compare yourself to a character, you might use the word like. How are you like that person? See how many times I use that? And then here in the conclusion, you might say, being like whichever character you're talking about helped me in what way? That's an easy way to conclude that paragraph if that's the one you choose.